Okay, grace, peace, and blessings to one and all. Good evening, Sister Charmaine. Good evening.
Good evening, Brother Devon.
How are you doing?
It's a good thing to be in the land of the living, brother.
Amen. Amen. I love that. I love that. I agree with you
Yes,
100%.
yes.
I agree.
And in spite of the challenges, we still have to give God praise. Yes,
Amen. That's right. That's right. We have to give God praise. Despite all the
yes.
ups and downs,
In
we can
spite,
oh
yes,
yes, oh yes. We must give God thanks and praise. Sister
yes.
Charlene, today is our let's see for you and I being on YouTube together live at this point. This is
Yes,
our debut. This is
yes,
our debut together.
yes,
This is
yes,
a day we have to put this down in the books.
yes, of course, of course.
All right.
First matters.
So let's start the shout out versus I see Karen, I see my darling wife. They are saying good night, and we say good night to them as well, Sister
Yeah,
Charmaine.
good night to all viewing and listening public.
We may be small guys, it may be a few of us, but as the word of God says, where two or three are gathered together in his name, he is here in the midst. So we welcome God in our midst. We give him praise, we give him thanks. Oh God, we bless God. Now, guys, we have an interesting topic this evening. And we want to thank you all for being here. Please share the live. I have sent the link to our Facebook group, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom Discourse. And I'm hoping persons will click on it. You guys are welcome to share it. Let other persons see that we are on and we are getting ready to get into a very good subject. Now, before Sister Charmaine she introduces the topic to everyone, I do want to share a scripture before we get into our topic. And I want to kind of like set a kind of a basis for us, okay? So let me just pull up the scripture if you don't mind, Sister Shaved, before you
Yes,
jump
of
in.
course.
All right, it's found in Proverbs chapter 25, verses 1 to 2, just two verses. It says, these are also Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out. Verse 2, it is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. And that part, you see that part where it speaks about it being an honor to search out a matter, that's the part I really want to press on. Because here we want to investigate this subject that we have been speaking on for the past 2 weeks. So with that said, Sister Charmin, we're going over to you.
Yes, Brother Devon. So we have been engaged in a very interesting topic that has brought many dialogue, questions and answers, where we seek to clarify, but our clarification, as we always tend to say, we want evidence, we want the data. We are not siding A or B unless we can have that empirical evidence. Yes, and the name of our topic, if for those of you who have been listening and for those who have joined us for the very first time, is the impact of slavery. Yes, the impact of slavery. So we are just delving into part three. This is part three of it. So we trust that you all will join in and be an interactive group as we seek to discuss this topic further. Brother Devon?
Amen. Amen. This topic is a good one because we really want to know with some of the concerns that folks have, as well as some claims that other individuals will have. Are those things are the claims true? We had several questions that Sister Charmaine asked a couple of weeks ago, and we really delved into certain statements made. We looked at different issues raised, and we really wanted to find out um, from a very practical understanding if certain things were were things to be worried about or things that were impacting in a negative way. Most of the things we looked at were negative, a negative way or what have you. So we are going to continue our conversation as Sister Charmaine encouraged you guys. I would also endorse her encouragement. Feel free to give your comments and questions as we look at the impact of slavery. We kind of like looking at from the black thing, although it must be stated that slavery was never limited to black people.
Black.
I
Totally.
I hope people will understand that. I
Yes.
really, really hope. Now our conversation is going in that black thing because
Yeah.
that seems to be every time slavery is mentioned, it's only black people. So
Yes.
we are taking that, but we want people to know for a fact that blacks over world history were not the only people that were
Yes.
enslaved. Sister
Right.
Shaman,
So,
I have a
yeah, Brother
question for you.
Devon, Brother
Yes.
Devon. So before we go, just to give a little in essence what some of the things for those of who may be listening us for the first time. So we answered questions such as, is it because of slavery you find that blacks, quote unquote, Africans live in more common law relationships, single parenting? Do they have an inferiority complex? Do we find them more in the public service because of slavery? Are they more incarcerated? Use drugs more? The children of blacks more on social welfare? And these are some of the things that we sought, to discuss in our last two sessions. So for those who will join us for the first time, you all could probably shed some light, if you so wish, on these areas that we discussed. Brother Devon, sorry for the
Exactly.
introduction, but
That
yeah.
that's okay. That's okay. And we do encourage that dialogue to continue with our listeners, our viewers. All right. We are not afraid to jump into topics and really explore things. So we, are happy that you guys are here. Sister Charmaine, it has been said by different persons in society that because of slavery, that has impacted the black man, the black woman in such a serious way that the black man or black woman cannot be successful. It's almost impossible for a black person to be successful in this world. What are your thoughts on that?
Brother Devon, from off the cuff, I will refute that statement. Unless you could bring a whole analysis and show me how and why this is really so. Because, we could just look from right in Trinidad, we could just look across the world, and we will be able to count numberless of black persons who have made it, who are successful, who are rich, who are well educated. Brother Devon, I'm sorry that I didn't know this question. I remember reading a clip, right? And they gave us a whole list of black persons who were first inventors of several things that we are unaware of. Had I known you were going to come, I was going to try to pull it back up. And I was alarmed. No, really, I was alarmed. I am talking about both male and female. And if we are to discuss this, further, I will look for that, clip and pull it up. Successful black persons who invented things that we are using currently, even today. So you see that claim, Brother Devon, from where I sit right now, I could never agree with that. I will refute that. That is mere if there is evidence out there to prove that slavery has, sort of stymied the black person, and, we're using black, in quotation, the Africans, to, prevent them from being successful. I will say no, that is not so. And we could go right here in Trinidad and we could start to name from Dr. Eric Williams. I don't want to get into name specifics right now, but that is clearly not so. I am thinking it is your mental capacity to really come out from that conundrum. And, sometimes I think, don't stone me down, I think we use slavery as a crutch. to say, well, yeah, they treated us badly, they treated our foreparents badly, and that is the reason why we cannot arise from this. Our foreparents got nothing, and therefore they weren't able to pass on anything, to us. Even though, I am not saying that, mistreatment did not happen, but that is no excuse for us to say that, it's a reason why we are not successful, Brother Devon.
You spoke with passion, and I fully support you. Fully support you. And I like the examples that you gave because we're dealing with facts, folks. We are not just talking for talking's sake. We are not talking to be in a perpetual cycle. We are talking to see, does the evidence bear itself out, whereby there is no successful Black people in society? And the answer is a clear no. There are a lot of successful Black people in society. Sister Charmin, if we do have a part 4, as today we are doing our part 3, I encourage you to check up those inventors, because I think it will be good for us to get some inventors, and we probably get some pictures of some individuals. We won't do the video. I don't really do the video that much, at least not now. But probably we could get some pictures and a little note on what these individuals would have done, so that we can know about these persons. We know about Edison, for example, and so many other people who are successful in society.
Yes.
But a lot of the
look at Mandela. In spite of the challenges Mandela faced, I mean, and I think, that Black people are also strong and very resilient, because in spite of the challenges that some went through, they still persisted, and it will be a pleasure to seek out those names.
Exactly. So, Sister Charmin, you got your joy.
Yes.
All right, and I want to touch again on that aspect that you raised with crush. I have been observing so many people and seeing that continual statement by several people in society. I'm not going to say the majority or whatnot, but there are a lot of persons who make that claim that I can't be successful, or we can't be successful because of slavery. And I mean, like, for me personally, I would be on the same path with you, Sister Charmin, to say, nah, that flies against the reality of so many people who have been successful. So throw away that crush and do what you need to do to gain success. You can't keep calling on slavery for every little issue, every little problem. All right. I want to have another one. Did you have anything you want to add to that, Sister Charmin?
No, you can flow.
It is said that Blacks are not united. Black people, like, on a major scale in society, are not united in how we deal with each other, how we do business, how we, all that kind of stuff. There's even what comes to my mind right now. I'm doing this. We are just flowing to social media. What comes in my mind right now is the crab in the bucket mentality.
Syndrome. Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's this thing that Blacks are not united, and we have this pull down thing because of slavery. What's your take on that?
Wow, Brother Devon, that is a tricky one, eh? And we may look to disagree now. From my point of view, Brother Devon, I would really say that Blacks are not united. From my experience, working environment, neighborhood environment, family sometimes, I will say that the Blacks are not as united. I am not saying that they are not as united as other ethnic groups. Why I say that, I have, on the ground evidence where I see other ethnic groups. Let's take a business venture you want to get into. they will put out their finances, they will give of their self, they will give, the monies, the whatever resources, physical assets, they will give up their time and they will stand up with each other. I find it is not as prevalent with Black people as with other ethnic groups. Now, again, as we have been saying for the past few sessions, is this as a result of slavery? Again, I do not have the evidence to say whether or not it is. What some have been saying is that because of slavery sought to divide. So what the masters did was to put Black persons, to rule the other Blacks, and they would punish them, and they had this sort of, superiority because the white man gave them to be in charge over their own. And that caused a division where they felt that they were better and, they didn't really look out for their own. So some are saying that's one of the reasons why it is this sort of behavior has been perpetuated throughout the ages, and where you find that Black persons are not united. Now, I could also pinpoint some families, some Black families that are really united, but I am speaking from on a general basis. I must say that generally speaking, as I said, the other ethnic groups are more united than the Black, community. Brother Devon, let me hear you. Let me hear
Wow,
you.
wow.
Let me
No,
hear you. Let me hear you. Give some this.
I this is a challenging question for me, and I think you said it beautifully from the start of your response. I think you did a marvelous job because I'm in agreement with you. From my perspective, and guys, I hope everyone hears what we are saying. From our perspective, as Black persons who are, around Blacks and see how Blacks operate with one another, and we see other ethnic groups and see how they relate with one another. That is how it looks. It looks like if we are always fighting among ourselves and there's always division. But I do believe that several persons of other ethnicities, because of their perception, they might say the same thing when it comes to their community and how they view things. So I do acknowledge for those who might say that, in those circles. But I do believe that over here, from what I've seen, and I've witnessed quite a bit of stuff there. I've experienced, as they say, what they say, my own people. Put that in heavy quotations, right? I have experienced that where you have some instances, not all, where another ethnic group would treat you even better than your own sometimes. So that's a harsh reality, but that's all it is. I could say more, but if I say people might take it to be wrong.
You might get into trouble.
Yeah, I might get into trouble. So
You'll have to answer more questions.
yeah, let me hold back on a little bit. So here's what I'll say. I think the the issue really is what you said, Sister Chan. Is it because of slavery? And this is where the question is really, really questionable because I like to hear people from different angles. I would like to hear why they say it is because of slavery. And then when they give me all the reasons and I see the evidence they present, then I want to watch persons who have not gone through, and Blacks, just Blacks, who I'm not even dealing with the other ethnic groups, with same Blacks who would have not been enslaved, who would have stayed in, let's say, Africa, for example. You would have stayed in Africa, you were not captured, your family were not captured, they would not go to America. And is that happening over there? That's what I would like, because I'm always someone who is interested in analyzing things, and if I have to present an argument, I want to give a solid argument. If I end up seeing in let's say Africa, for example, all right, because I know a lot of people believe, Sister Shamin, I'm going to say something that is shocking. I'm going to say something that's very, very shocking. A lot of people believe that all Black people came from Africa. I tend to not believe that. I respect persons' views, but I tend not to believe that. I personally don't believe all black people came from Africa. All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You don't believe that either?
No.
You, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. I didn't know what you was going to say. But oh gosh, I feel like, oh good. It's more, there's more people that are willing to challenge thoughts. I am
Yeah.
tempted to ask you why. I'm tempted to drill into that. Let me hold. Let me hold on. I just love, I love these types of conversations, Sister Shannon. I absolutely love them. All right. But if we go into Africa and we see persons who have not had that history wherein whites came and took your family members and so on, and brought them to America, the Caribbean, and so forth. If we don't see that there, but we still see the same element of the crab and a bucket mentality and the fighting and so on, then you cannot blame. Can you blame slavery for that?
No, no, we wouldn't be able to blame slavery. Mm-mm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because the argument is not consistent.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's how I would evaluate things. I wouldn't say it's and I think two of us are on the same page. I wouldn't say that it's 100% wrong to say that the way we are divided is because of slavery. I think there may have some impact where slavery is concerned. We have the crab and our bucket mentality where we fight one another. And so I think that's a possibility. A definite, that's where I'll be cautious on. And I will say, Sister Shami, it's amazing because it is a reality when it comes to several black people. I observe several black people watch one another as heavy competition.
Yeah.
Heavy, heavy, heavy. I see it in so many ways. There's so much I could say, but I hold them back so much. I hold them tongue so much, right? But
Yeah, but you know, Brother Devon,
yes,
what really are the reasons for this? I mean, that would be a good something to do a research. What are the reasons why? Why is there such stiff competition? Why?
and
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
and this is what I'm thinking. And that's a good question. Let me just give a shout out to Royal Priesthood. It's great to see you, my brother, Royal Priesthood. Love to you, my brother. You contribute to the conversation. We are talking about the impact of slavery, and the question on the table right now is this: is it because of slavery why we see so many black people not united? You're always fighting one another, quote unquote. I put that whole thing in quotation. And you have that crab in a bucket mentality. One man trying to rise and you're pulling down the other one. So
Pulling down
you
the next one,
yeah,
yeah.
you could contribute. Now this is why I'm cautious of keeping out someone's idea. I'll give everyone this example as Sister Shannon raised that question. She asked a question about why is it like that we are not united and we fighting one another. And several persons have said, Sister Shannon, because we were already divided and we had that thing where it had the house negro. I'm using the word negro because they don't use the word negro, right? I'm being kind, right? You had the house negro and you had the field negro, right? And it seemed like there was conflict there. All right, you had that kind of conflict. So persons view it as, because we were separated often and we were not united when blacks were freed, we did not get that training of business and economics and understanding that there's need to unite. And yes, you do have competition, but you could work with each other in the midst of competition. So a lot of persons view it as we were not taught those things. And I
Mhm.
think that argument has quite a bit of weight, but I think the weight more goes in the direction of being taught economics. I think
Mhm.
there, yeah, you might have a greater argument to a degree, right? But when it comes to the vision, there is where I have a bit of a challenge because all white people are not united just general.
Yeah.
Just general. They are not united. Several white people are against each other, and several white people watch each other as competition. Several white
Mhm.
people kill one another, and so even during slavery, those things existed. So to paint a picture as if all white people are totally united, they totally support each other, and so on, and blacks were just divided all the time. And no, that's not a proper picture. Whites killed whites, and all they did evils to whites, right? So that's that fact. Uh, Another aspect when it comes to the divisions, blacks. Now, Sister Shamin, let's really put ourselves in the story.
Yeah.
When blacks were on the field, blacks weren't separated in such a way where you had quote unquote COVID restrictions, where you have 6 feet apart and all those things per se. Obviously, they will be working at a distance, but you have to be able to do things manually, physically. You have to pick cotton or cut well for cut cane or corn or whatever. So you have to
It
work
required
within.
teamwork then.
Yes, yes. So if you had to work in a team, and many of the and slavery was really I love this that Christopher said this, and it's a very beautiful point when our guest Christopher when he came and he spoke that slavery was more in respect of economics. It was in respect to get wealth. So if we understand the backdrop that whites had the slaves here to be able to do whatever they could do to make these people money. The end goal was money, wealth, and so on. These people always sought to expand their territory, expand their notoriety. So if you want to, on a practical basis, have your field, whatever you need to do, you need to plow your field or whatever, and you're using slaves for it. If you're looking to pick the cotton, a cow can't pick cotton, so you have to use
Right.
humans. Your resources are
Yeah.
human beings. So your humans have to be able to pick the cottons. How are you going to plant the trees? We're being very practical people. So a
Yeah.
tree will be here, another tree will be there. So slaves would be close to each other. And
Yes.
we have the history of revolts by the slaves. Some of them were done individually, but a lot of them were planned, and they planned with each other. All right.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
this movie with what's her name? What's her name, boy? This woman, this black woman who she was considered the Black Moses. I'm
The
trying
Black
to
Moses.
I'm trying to remember her name. Her name is escaping me. Oh gosh, there was Harriet Tubman,
Okay. Okay.
right? And she was portrayed in a particular movie to have orchestrated the the running away of several slaves, her and some of her cohorts. All right. So for those things to happen, there must be unity to some degree.
Yes.
There
Yes.
must be
Yes.
planning and
There
arrangement.
must be harmony. Yeah. Hmm.
Right. So to paint a picture that all the blacks were just totally divided, this one thing can bring people together is persecution.
Yes. Quite so.
Persecution. And if you're seeing that you black and I'm black, listen, all of us in the same boat. We are all in the same boat. We are all slaves, and we are all getting beat. We all have to work, and we could all die. Let's all see if we can work together to get free. Yeah,
Yes.
more hands make work light. Make the experience a little better because you have a man watching there, a man planning here, a man organizing there. You understand? So there was unity to much of a degree. Was it there all the time? No, but it was not like that in any culture, even where we are concerned. We on this group, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom discourse. Our core thing is the word of God. But as
Hmm.
in tonight we are dealing with other topics in world and just world history and so forth. But when you look at the scriptures, I'm raising this in regard to the scriptures. When you look at the scriptures, the Israelites themselves were not always united.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Quite
so so
so.
so unity in terms of everybody being on the same page and on board all the time. that has not been a constant for all peoples at all times. It just hasn't. That's just the
Yes,
reality. But I
yes.
think the greater matter, as I said earlier, would more so be in regard to economics. For blacks being in slavery for over 200 years, I will not say 400 years, I believe it's over 200 years. I believe I could check and see if I'm wrong, but being in slavery for a lengthy time period, coming over into the Americas, not knowing how economics is working in the Americas, you are at a disadvantage. So
Yeah.
now, us in our day and time, and even a little before our day and time, when a black person is trying to rise and another black person sees him as competition, now you have the crab in a bucket mentality. You're bringing down
Yeah.
another black man because the other groups of people may not have experienced what you had recently experienced. The whites
Mm,
may not have experienced what you recently experienced for such a long time, or
yes.
your foreparents. The Hispanics may not have experienced it. The Asians may not have experienced it, and everyone, you all look what I'm saying. I'm saying me not. I'm always saying me not. I try to save myself, Sister Shaman, in case anybody
Yeah.
talk about it. Brother Devon, let me tell you something. You don't know Asians. I try to kind of duck that bullet.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that would be my view, Sister Charmaine, on your question as to why it's like that, why you have that fight. I don't know if you have something you want to add. I do want to open up the floor.
No, what I wanted to say is that I want to agree with your point where you said that be working on the plantation, you had to have some form of unity, some form of togetherness in order to save each other, in order to survive those horrendous, environment, the treatment, and so on. And I mean, we have seen movies and whatnot where they did unite. So I see that argument where you're saying, okay, so if we want to bring that point that is because of slavery, blacks are not united, they don't support each other even today. I mean, we could argue, but even in slavery, yes, the white leaders tried to cause dissension, but at the same time, they had some form of unification amongst them in no small way. So that now should have, impacted them coming even up to today to be more united. So really, so you see, we really cannot base that argument to say it's because of slavery. Blacks don't support each other, they're not united, and so forth and so on. Yes, so that's just all I wanted to add there.
Excellent, excellent. I don't know if our chat group, if they are silent tonight and they are more taking in the conversation. But guys, we do want to encourage you throughout your points and your question, because we see the time is fastly approaching. We are just here for about an hour. We started a little late, so we'll definitely make up with that time. But feel free to pose your comments and take part in the dialogue. Okay. I do want to raise another thing to you, Sister Charmaine. It
Yeah.
has also been claimed that there are many killings amongst blacks, black on black violence, black on black crime, and
Hmm.
some persons have attempted to attribute that apparently to slavery. What's your word on that?
Hmm. Well, again, as we have been saying that, yes, I see, and sometimes, it's so alarming and distressing to see that, blacks really killing blacks. I mean, we could call names right here in Trinidad and Tobago where, there are territories where it is you can cross a particular line right in one village, in one community. You can go across on a different street where there is territorialism, yeah, and it's black against black. And one wonders what really is the reason for this sort of behavior, this sort of black killing blacks and more deaths among blacks. It's really alarming. But could we really and truly attribute that towards the impact of slavery. Could we say that is a result, as an impact of slavery? I really cannot say. I mean, all right, some will say that it's because of the abuse, the mental trauma that they went through, and it passed down the bloodline, and all the analytical things and whatnot. It transformed the DNA, and hence the reason why now that built up anger and hurt is there, and this is the only way to bring it out is to kill each other, because that is what they have been taught, and that is what, has been meted out even now. Brother Devon, I really cannot agree with that. Yeah, I,
Yeah,
I, I do not have the answer to say why it is so, but I mean, when you look around, you will see it's not that other ethnic groups, people are not dying and they are not killing each other, but it is more prevalent, really and truly, in the Black community. So,
yeah. I think even where when it comes to that claim of black killing blacks because of slavery, um, I tend to have a problem with that. I agree with you, Sister Charmaine, with your reasoning behind it. Um, and the thing about it is, when a black person kills another black person, I go back to the same type of argument I presented last week, which is, can you go now to the loved one, right? Can you go to that family member? Let's say somebody killed a woman's a mother's son. Well, every man is some other's son, right? Can you go to a 14-year-old who was killed? Can you go and tell that mother that's because of slavery?
mm,
Is she going to
mm,
hear, okay, this other person or these gangs of persons, they dealt with my children or my family or my friends in this manner? Do we think that people are going to be consoled? Are they going to be okay? Well, well, when you told me that, that made me feel better. I feel comforted. Do we think that people are going to be like that, even if someone is pushing that argument? No way.
well, of
No
course
way.
not, yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to hear about a white slave master who is long dead, long dead, and even that person's foreparent. So you're coming to tell me about um um let's get a name, Brandon. You coming to tell me about Brandon. Brandon who killed your son Jake. Brandon killed Jake, and you're telling me about Brandon's foreparents being slaves. Nobody cares about Brandon's foreparents being slaves. Nobody cares about that. They care about Jake being dead and Brandon did the crime. Nobody is trying to get the slave owner whose son or grandson is still alive. They are not trying to lock them up. No. They don't care about that. They are focusing on Brandon. Brandon did the killing, and they want to deal with Brandon. The most they will go to when it comes to parenthood or any lineage or anything like that is Brandon's direct caretakers. If it's his direct parents, his direct uncle or aunt or whoever is the leading that grew Brandon up,
Yeah.
and Brandon and them killing Jake, that's their focus. They will say, so how could your son kill my son? That's the reality. Not I'm going to say something, but I'm not encouraging persons to go in this direction. Just get the point, right? I'm just going to say that before I say the rest. For those of you all who are familiar with American hip hop, and you know that there was an artist by the name of the Notorious B.I.G. And there was another artist by the name of Tupac Shakur. Only remember, not encouraging you all to go and listen to these guys, right? These guys were very prominent in America with their type of music, and there was issues that arose, conflict that arose, and the two of them were murdered.
Right.
right? The mothers of both men have come together in solidarity, and they would be, trying to encourage people to, turn around their lives so live better lives, deal with their issues differently. They are not concerned about any slavery, as far as I understand, in terms of their sons directly and who killed their sons. Those mothers, their hearts are pained because they lost their child.
Of
Right? So,
course, of
so, so,
course.
so the whole, some arguments I hear people use, I wonder, is it that you just want to blame slavery for everything? So we are not going to take responsibility for nothing. I
For
do
our, yeah,
recognize that slavery did exist and it did impact us, yes. But I don't think that blaming slavery for everything is going to solve anything. One,
mm,
and then it's not going to comfort those who have experienced certain things by blacks. The
yes,
people
quite
are not
so.
going to be comforted because it was a black, because it was a slave owner did this, whatever and whatnot. So that would
Yes.
be my take. So Sasha, you have any extra stuff you want to
Yes,
say?
no, Brother Devon, I am in total agreement with you.
Mm.
We have to take responsibility for our own actions. And I mean, it's high time that we do that and stop, saying everything is as a result of slavery. No, we have to come out from that. Maybe really and truly is a mental slavery that really is happening here. Why it is everything, we tend to go back and say, yes, that is as a result of slavery. No, no, we need to really come off of that, crutch, as I said before, and take responsibility and do something to turn around that whole stigmatization of because of slavery, we as A, B, or C. So yeah, that's my take on it, Brother Devon.
Excellent, excellent, great. I think you had a question from last week. I think we could present that question before I move on with some other stuff. I'm still watching the time, so Sasha, I mean, I hand it
Yeah,
over to you.
no,
I
I
think you had
thought,
one last question on your list that you didn't read. Probably, are you seeing it or
I'm
is someone?
wondering, is it the private public sector that
Yeah, I think
many
that was it.
persons, yeah. So, yeah, so, it was also said by our host that we had on, by the way, and we thank him for being on. He was excellent and his story on, but, we just questioning some of the, things that he raised. And one of the points he said was that because of slavery, you found that more Black persons enter the public service as opposed to going out and being, doctors, lawyers, that sort of thing, engineers. They enter the public service, because of slavery. That one, I really can't say, I have no evidence. But the fact is, it is a fact, that there, I should say, probably were a couple of years back, there were more Black persons in the public service as opposed to other ethnic groups. As to whether or not that is as a result of slavery, I cannot say it is so. But that dynamic has changed over the years. You find it, being more or less almost equal, maybe not half and half, but almost equal. So I don't know what is your take on that, but I can't say that that is a result of slavery at all. Even though, yeah, we have some evidence that it was so, in the past.
Yeah. I think you are on the right path because after slavery, we have to consider how the countries were run, wherein there were that dominance of the European race, all right, or the white race, if we are looking at it from that perspective. They would have been dominating the work world, the business, and so on. So what they would make available to blacks would have, I suspect, more so being in the areas of the public service. So obviously it would be natural that we would see historically more persons there, and as time progressed, then we saw more persons go into doctors and lawyers and all those things. Those doors started to open up a bit more. In the midst of serious challenge, serious challenge, to be a lawyer while you are a black man or a black woman, that's a serious thing. That's a serious thing. If you're a black man or a black woman and you are a lawyer, that is going to be some serious issues there for white America. The same thing with a judge. And those are some milestones, eh? When there was the first lawyer, and I think we should probably even try to see if we can find some of that. Who was the first lawyer? Who was the first judge? You know, those are monumental things for persons in. I think it hits hard really for America because a country like ours, where there's a greater population number of blacks here in Trinidad and Tobago than whites, as far as I understand it. The majority of the population is black. Black. When I say black, and I would have that all encompassing of Negroes and Indians. But if we're looking at the comparison between Negroes and or blacks, Africans, and let's say whites, there will be a greater population when it comes to the Africans than the whites. And this is not,
Yes.
let me make sure and say, this is not to put down any white person. I'm not trying to sow any seed of discord. I just want to make sure and say that this is about just analyzing the information. So, so where that is concerned, I think it would be notable for us in Trinidad, a black person becoming a lawyer, a black person becoming a judge, in America, but I think it probably gives a greater impact for the Americans than for the Trinidadians. I stand to be corrected, but that's my perspective. However, now that has changed significantly, as Sister Shami mentioned, guys. And we thank God for that. We thank God for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on, I'm seeing the time going, but I do want to
Yeah.
ask Sister Shami, do you think we could point out some positives? Because we often, I think probably we'll be going in that particular direction even from the last question that you just presented. Do you think we could pull out some positives when it comes to the slavery, the impact of slavery, foods, craft, clothing? Do you want to touch
Yes,
on that?
I think that the impact of slavery, we have some positives because number one, and you wouldn't believe the first point I will piggyback on is that there was some unity amongst Black persons where they recognized that they had to bind together in order to combat the forces that were against them. And, we had a discussion before, things like Susu, we read in our history books, that came out from that thing where everybody pool a little bit together, and every week or every month or every other week, this one will get their hand and the other one interest-free loans, what we call them today. And we see it even exists up to today. My foreparents, my mother, and they always in a susu help many, to build a little house, to assist in building the house, buy a little furniture, pay for some child to go to school, do something. And, even up until today, Brother Devon, I will always encourage susu with the right people, that is, and not dishonest persons. Because I started to work, I remember when I started to work, they joined me in a susu, and my God, after I paid and whatnot, when it was my turn, persons just ran out, and I lost my money. Yeah. So from that, that was a scar, So I will never go into a susu not knowing who the individuals are and having some kind of, background check on the individuals. That's just me. Yes. So susu, you find that they had to pull together to come up with ways to feed their family. So they will, do certain dishes that, was less
Sister
economic.
Shami, So let me jump in there before you go on to different foods, and I do want to hear these foods. But let's just hold that susu for a little bit because I myself and I think many Trinbagonians participated in Asusu. When you spoke about your experience of, joining Asusu, and then when it's your turn, I'm going to guess you took the last hand. I'm going to guess you did that. Sister Charmaine, listen, I felt something inside of me when you shared that.
Yes,
Yeah, that is gut wrenching. To know
yes,
that you would have put off, and that's the thing. Things like that, and the thing is, you're doing that with black people. Eh? Several times it's not to put down anything, but imagine I black, you black, all of us black, and we trying to work together to build one another. And I am trusting you people to be honest, to have integrity, and then you all want to pull out. I think I
yeah.
had an experience of close to that once. I have been in susus before, not many susus, but I have been in a few susus before, and I came to a experience similar to yours once. After that, that was it for me.
No
That
more
was it.
susu.
No more susu. No more susu. And I am in the same position as you. I would not give up on a susu now, but I would I would really want to do a background check. I would want to make sure there is some level of trust and familiarity with
Yeah,
persons
yes,
before
yeah.
I do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying, yes, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because when someone has worked hard, they have done their sacrifices in different areas
yes,
to put together this money, and they are thinking, okay, I'm going to wait my turn and I'm going to get my stuff last because I'm a kind of last guy to it.
mm-hmm.
I like to wait. I prefer to wait for the last hand. But I
Yeah,
had an experience. I said, boy, listen, I'll take the first hand. I could get anyway up in the first. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll take the first hand because
yes,
at least you get your stuff in case anybody gone. You
right,
know.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's not a nice experience at all.
yeah, it
So yeah.
isn't.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm, mhm. But
so,
yeah, go
mhm,
ahead.
yeah, no, you finished? You finished with this, Susu?
Yes, yes. I finished. I
Yeah.
finished.
So I even look at things like, I think Black people, are very talented, in terms of, I look at the Better Village or Best Village competition, where the folklore, the dances and the telling of the stories. And I think those things develop on that plantation there where they kept themselves occupied, they dance and they told stories and, that transition, into today's societies and even in Trinidad where we have the best village competition where a lot of the talent is brought out, where they do a lot of art and craft, made a lot of these hand woven things, Um, I went into a particular store and it amazed me, Brother Devon, to see people use their hands. They took straw, dry it, and they made all wonderful, different types of things, So, those are some of the cultural aspects that came out from slavery. I don't know if you have any that you want to add
Yeah,
at this point.
yes. I want to bring out we had pigtail. You know
What's that?
pigtail, sauce and
Oh, you're talking
soup.
about the food aspect
Yes,
now.
the food aspect because am I jumping? Oh, we were supposed to. I think I rushed you, Sister Sharon. So let me go. Let me go
Yeah.
on the craft. I agree. The craft is incredible. That's why, guys, you all see me. I often wear bead chain. Now, I have jewelry. I'm not against jewelry, right, guys? I'm not against jewelry. I do have my little gold and thing, but I'm not much on gold. I'm not really. I'm not against anyone who has their gold. You have your gold, all right. You have your silver. You do you your diamonds, whatever. but I really like craft. I like the beads chain and so on. I don't really
Yes,
have
yes.
beads band and all that. My chain, I love my chain. I actually feel naked without my chain, especially.
Really?
I feel naked. I like even when I was growing up, my parents, I always wanted watches. Always wanted that. And every I think year my mom would or my dad would buy like $10 watch. I don't know, you remember the $10 watch, the digital one? I carry you back there though.
A
I carry you
thousand
back
tick.
the quartz and so on.
Yeah,
So I used to have that, and when I won't have a watch, I will feel naked.
right.
Now I would go without a watch. I still love my watches. If it's one thing I can collect is watches. I really love watches. Um, Now I can still go without my watches and I'm fine. But you see my chain? No, 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 no. The other day
Wow.
I didn't have my chain. My chain burst, and I was like in shambles. I have to get chain and it's COVID. Oh gosh, where am I getting a chain? I want that chain. So yeah, I really like the craft. I like this.
Yes,
I
the
believe a lot
craft
of
there.
persons have developed that, but I would not say that it came out of slavery. It may have come out of slavery. It might not. It might just be a part of a culture, African culture, or other cultures, because Africans are not the only ones that create beads.
Yes, of
You know,
course,
yeah.
of course.
So yeah, there's a lot of craft and so on, and that's
Yes,
awesome. People would have become very creative in the midst of slavery and
in the
post
midst of
slavery to
slavery,
yeah
yes.
to be able to design things and sell things that even other ethnic groups would purchase. So that's a great
Yes.
point. You were on food, Sister Charmaine, and
Yes,
guys,
so
we are
Brother
getting ready to
Devon,
wrap up. Go ahead.
yes, I believe that during slavery, because I mean the ration they got and whatnot, they were
Yes.
so creative with food because
Mhm.
they had to live and they had to stay remain strong.
Yeah.
And many foods today that we find so finger licking, and I am sure the audience could throw in a few. We have, well, you were alluding to the crab and dumpling, saltfish. I will say cuckoo. Remember that cuckoo? We have cow heel soup. Yeah, we have what I call cook up. But they normally call it cook up. Today we call it pilau, coconut bake, oil down. And these foods today are part and parcel of our culture. They are finger licking good. Am I not lying? Am I
Amen.
lying, Brother Devon? I am not lying. Yeah, and I mean, today we buy how much you will pay for oil down. You're paying a good price at $35, $40 for oil down. Yeah, but those are some of the creative foods, that, at that time it was cheaper. We have like fig and saltfish because I mean they plant the land and they use what it is from the land. They had cassava and saltfish. So they use all the provision then, and they were able to survive on those meals, and today we even find them totally delicious.
Amen.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a few foods that you could add in there from your own.
No, no, I don't want to add any food because I'm feeling hungry, and
Hungry,
I'm
yeah,
just getting to
boy.
make things worse.
Yes. Thinking about that coconut bake, oh boy, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we were very creative in terms of our forbearance, and even now because several foods have gone to the next level. Some things were just created because we wanted to survive, or forbearance wanted to survive. But now things are delicacies, as Sister Charmaine identified. Some foods are very costly for some foods. People absolutely love some foods.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. And that's great. That's great. People now they need to continue to nurture creativity. We need to
Yeah.
continue that. We are in this pandemic state, but it doesn't mean that all creativity has to go out the door and we remain in a state of despair. We could rise above. As human beings, God has instilled us with the ability to rise above different challenges, right? So, guys, that's it. We have reached the end of our time. Looking at our time, 9:11, we go for about an hour. And we want to say thank you for joining us. We pray that what we discussed this evening between Sister Charmin and myself was helpful to you all as we discussed the subject of the effects of slavery. We have done this being our third installation. And we plan to do our fourth one. We plan to present some stuff to Sister Charmin. I believe by God's grace we'll get some information with some successful people in world history.
Yeah.
And we will there's another aspect of this subject I would like to jump into. We won't talk about it right now. But
Okay.
hopefully next week, please God, we should be able to talk about that. And if that's it, we might wrap up this subject next week. Please God. I'm not 100% certain, but it looks that way from this perspective. All right, guys. So we want to say a big thank you to everyone. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being a part. Perhaps next time we might have more comments. We didn't have, much conversation or any conversation, I should say, from our guests. Well, maybe next time we might have more conversation, right? So
Yes.
guys, I want to say a big thank you again, and I pray you join us for our other stuff. Continue to subscribe for those who are watching right now, or if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook group. It's Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom Discourse. And click the notification bell so you know when we go on. We can go on at any time, as well as click that like button. It does help the algorithms where YouTube is concerned. Sister Charmin, I hand it over to you for your
Yes,
closing words.
I must say it was an interesting, discussion. This topic was really insightful, and it revealed, certain things, certain myths. I think I would say that we had it's these discussions sort of dispel it. Yes, and I want to thank those of you who participated, even by listening. And I trust that you all will join us again next week, please God. So be safe out there and have a very good weekend.